this wasn't necessarily her recollection.
Reputationally, for him, it was a massive turn-off. He became a joke.
Cool. Behind Prince Harry's bombshell statement that has blown up peace talks with Buckingham Palace.
Music, from the very first second the story broke, you could feel it. That strange electric crackle that only hits when something big, massive, is shifting behind palace walls. Reporters weren't breathing. Royal commentators were scrambling for air, and every YouTube notification dinged like an alarm bell. Because suddenly, out of nowhere, the palace, the same music palace that survives on silence, the same palace that responds to crisis with a raised eyebrow and a cup of Earl Grey decided music, to speak. And when the palace speaks, you know something has gone terribly wrong. The world woke up to a single phrase lighting up social feeds. Sources confirm the prince experienced an emotional breaking point, because Prince Harry is refusing, it seems, to play along with Meghan Markle's games. Nobody needed the headline explained. Everyone knew exactly which prince they meant, Harry music, and the timing. Oh, the timing was brutal because just hours before, Meghan had appeared at yet another polished conference delivering yet another carefully constructed speech about reclaiming narrative power. Except this time the delivery felt sharper, edgier, like even she was struggling to keep the facade from cracking. People noticed the clipped music, tone, the tight smile, the way she kept referencing being silenced music, in a room full of people who were literally there to hear her talk for 40 minutes straight. But that alone wouldn't have triggered a palace response. What did trigger it was something far deeper. According to fictional palace insiders, the tipping point came during Harry and Meghan's latest attempt at rebranding. A glossy new campaign that seemed meant to reclaim their public image. But somewhere between the photo ops, music, the staged sincerity and the dramatic pauses meant to rebuild trust, something inside Harry finally snapped. You know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK. Of course I do. And I think that's really witnesses described him as visibly exhausted and emotionally afraid, with one claiming he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else on earth. Meanwhile, Meghan, polished as always, kept pushing the talking points, music correcting him mid-sentence, squeezing his arm whenever he veered even 1 mm off script. And honestly, people felt it through the screen. That kind of tension doesn't hide, it radiates. Twitter went nuclear. Why does he look like he's about to cry? He looks trapped. This is hard music to watch. Someone blinked twice if you need help. 10 minutes later the clip hit TikTok. 30 minutes later it had 2 million views. By noon it was everywhere. And then the real shockwave. A palace aide speaking in that classic chilly deadpan tone royals are practically born with gave a quiet, devastating line to the press. The Duke has reached an emotional threshold. His well-being is now a priority concern. Nothing about Meghan, nothing accusatory, just a single sentence that said far more than it appeared to. Suddenly, the world wasn't talking about branding or PR storms or podcast launches. The conversation shifted to Harry, the man, the son, the brother, and the unmistakable sense that he was cracking under pressure. Not royal pressure, not media pressure, personal pressure. Even tabloids softened for a moment, which is saying something. Commentators, usually merciless, paused their rehearsed outrage and said the same thing in different ways. He looks broken. And that's when the palace, the old guard, the machine, the carefully choreographed institution of centuries quietly stepped in behind the scenes. You could almost sense the gears turning. Not out of vengeance, not out of spite, out of fear for one of their own. When they were at the softball and the kiss cam came on. And a lot of people have commented on this, but I want to comment on the specific technique. And the specific technique is misdirection and laughter, and it's an old technique. Sources claimed Harry reached out to an old confidant, someone from his Promonto life, and the emotional dam simply burst. Not a dramatic scandal, not a soap operatic confession, but something far more human. He said he felt overwhelmed. He said he felt lost. He said he felt like he couldn't breathe. And those words, according to insiders, were the ones that sent alarms echoing across the palace corridors. Meanwhile, back in California, Meghan was reportedly furious at how the media interpreted the footage. Her team scrambled into action, attempting to rewrite the narrative with precision. Harry was fine. The couple was unbothered, and the rumors were baseless fabrications. Music, except the public wasn't buying it because reactions weren't coming from tabloids anymore. They were coming from ordinary viewers, people with no agenda, people who simply saw pain on a man's face. One body language expert, music, and you know they come bursting out of the ground like mushrooms in times like these, said the clip showed classic signs of emotional fatigue, adding that Harry's shoulders telegraphed defeat. Prince William was correct to warn Prince Harry about his relationship with Meghan Markle. The clip was reanalyzed, slowed down, zoomed in, picked apart frame by frame. You could practically feel the world holding its breath, watching a prince who once radiated mischievous charm now looking like a shadow of himself. Of course, Meghan's supporters fought back online, insisting the public was misinterpreting normal exhaustion. But even her most loyal defenders couldn't explain the palace's sudden involvement because the palace doesn't speak to defend drama. They speak when there's vulnerability. They speak when they sense danger. They speak when they fear a prince might be music slipping out of reach. And that's exactly what this felt like. A man stretched too thin, music carrying too much, locked in a life that doesn't fit but can't be escaped without consequences. Then late that night, another leak hit the press. Harry had reportedly withdrawn from an upcoming appearance, citing personal reasons. This was big, huge. Snorts the Sussexes never cancel anything they can use for publicity ever. Commentators were stunned. X was on fire. Theories were multiplying by the second. Something was happening, something real, something raw. And the question everyone asked was the same. Fed up of being paraded around, and did Meghan push him too far? Did the pressure finally crush him? Music, and what exactly did the palace know or fear that made them step in now? Because whatever broke inside Harry didn't happen music, overnight, and it wasn't over. Not even close. Magically get better on their own and everyone else will figure it out so that he doesn't have to. That sounds like his life. The moment Harry cannelled that appearance, the story detonated. Not a quiet ripple, not a polite murmur, a full-blown international earthquake. Phones buzzed non-stop, morning shows scrapped their planned topics, and royal reporters who had just sat down with their coffee spatted out mid-sip. And while the world spiraled, Meghan made her move. She didn't wait, she didn't hesitate. She struck immediately with what insiders described as a controlled fury. Her team blasted out an email insisting Harry was only resting, that the footage online was misleading, and that the music palace statement was misinterpreted. Except here's the problem. Nobody ever misinterprets a palace statement. Those things are crafted word by a small army of PR wizards who spend their lives calculating emotional fallout. If they hint that Harry is struggling, they mean exactly that and music more. People weren't buying Meghan's spin. They never do when a story feels this raw. Still, Meghan doubled down. She popped up in front of cameras at a charity event looking hyper-polished, hair flawless, smile calibrated. The whole everything is perfect energy turned to maximum brightness. But her eyes, oof, even through the screen, viewers saw something wild flickering there, frustration simmering just beneath the glossy exterior. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the palace machine was spinning faster than it had in years. A confidential meeting was held between William, senior advisors and mental health specialists, not to strategize against Meghan, but to protect Harry. People forget whatever drama exists, William still sees Harry as his little brother, a brother he grew up protecting, a brother he still worries about even after everything. Insiders whispered that William wanted to reach out directly, but advisors warned it could backfire, triggering more stress or accusations of interference. So instead, the palace prepared a public gesture. Subtle, elegant, music, perfectly British. I think he's just living in the past. Meghan told him that and told us music that he's still very much. They released an old photo of the brothers at a charity event, smiling, arms around each other. No caption, no explanation, just a reminder of who Harry used to be, and the internet lost its mind. William's extending an olive branch. Is this a lifeline? Music, the palace is signalling support. Is Harry coming home? On social media, hashtags exploded. Music, #bring Harry, free Harry numbers, sign up, support the prince. That's when the real panic hit Meghan's camp. Because for the first time in a long time, public sympathy wasn't with her. It was with him. The narrative wasn't Meghan versus the palace anymore. It was Harry is breaking and the palace is trying to save him. Her PR team scrambled into DEFCON 1. New photos magically appeared online showing Meghan and Harry laughing together in Montecito. Though people quickly pointed out Harry's smile looked oddly strained and his hand placement looked directional, music like someone told him where to put it. Within minutes, the memes rolled in. TikTok zoomed in on Harry's expression like they were analyzing FBI surveillance footage. Twitter roasted the photo lighting. Instagram accounts whispered the obvious, he looks checked out. Meanwhile, the palace wasn't done. That Prince Harry is planning a shameless return to the UK in 2026 with a plan to, and I quote, sow the seeds for a semi-permanent return. A second insider leak hit the press claiming Harry had expressed longing for stability and homesickness music for the UK. The phrasing didn't sound like Meghan's language. It didn't sound like Harry's either. It sounded like a message, music, a very carefully crafted message. A warning shot across the Atlantic, and Meghan knew it. That evening, she reportedly stormed through the Montecito estate in full meltdown mode, demanding to know which staff members might be quietly feeding information to London. Tensions skyrocketed,